At 6:47 a.m. on December 17, 1944, Staff Sergeant Raymond Cole watched 3,000 German soldiers advancing toward his platoon's position near Malmedy, Belgium, knowing his company had maybe 2 hours before they'd be overrun. 32 years old, 4 years infantry experience, 0 commendations for valor. The Germans had broken through American lines during the opening hours of the Battle of the Bulge. 6th SS Panzer Army, 12 divisions, 200,000 men pushing west through the Ardennes Forest. American forces were collapsing, retreating, dying. Cole's company, Baker Company, 99th Infantry Division, had held a defensive position for 18 hours. Now they had orders to fall back 6 miles to the next defensive line. Standard procedure said, move fast. Abandon equipment if necessary. Get to safety before German armor caught you in the open. Speed saved lives during retreats. Everyone knew it. The 99th Division had lost 400 men in the past 24 hours. Most were killed during chaotic retreats when German machine gunners caught American infantry running across open ground. Panic made you fast. Panic also made you dead. Cole had a different problem. His platoon called him Slow Cole behind his back, not because he was physically slow, because he did everything methodically. Checked every sight line, counted every round, questioned every order that didn't account for German counterfire. During training exercises, instructors criticized his pace. Too deliberate, too cautious. Combat required speed and aggression. Cole's response was always the same. Fast gets you killed if you're running the wrong direction. The first casualties came on December 16th at 08:30 hours. First platoon retreated from Krinkelt after German artillery destroyed their forward positions. 28 men started the withdrawal. Standard procedure: move fast between covered positions, sprint across open ground, put distance between yourself and the enemy. They made it 400 yards before German MG-42 machine guns opened fire from concealed positions in the tree line. 1,500 rounds per minute, interlocking fields of fire. The running Americans had no cover, no time to react, no chance. 23 men cut down in 4 minutes. Most died in the first 30 seconds. The rest were wounded trying to crawl to safety. Only 5 men reached American lines. All had shrapnel wounds. 2 died before medics could stop the bleeding. Cole heard about Krinkelt over the radio. Heard the panic in survivors' voices. Heard them describe how fast they'd run, how it hadn't mattered. Second casualties came at 14:20 hours same day. Charlie Company retreated from Rocherath under pressure from German infantry. 112 men started the withdrawal. Company Commander Captain David Wilson followed doctrine exactly, moved in dispersed groups, bounded between covered positions, maintained tactical discipline. German machine gun nest positioned on high ground caught them crossing a stream. Single MG-42, optimal firing angle, perfect field of fire. The stream was 30 yards wide. No cover. Americans had to cross or circle 2 miles around. Wilson ordered speed. Get across fast. Don't give the gunner time to adjust fire. 14 men died crossing that stream, not because they were slow, because fast wasn't fast enough against a weapon firing 25 rounds per second. Charlie Company made it to American lines with 98 effectives, 14 dead. Not catastrophic by Bulge standards. Just 14 more names on the casualty list. 14 more families getting telegrams. Cole knew Wilson. Good officer. Competent tactician. Followed the manual. Did everything right. Still lost 14 men to a single machine gun because doctrine said speed saved lives during retreats. Third casualties came at 19:10 hours. Third Squad, Able Company, retreating from Bullingen. 12 men led by Sergeant Frank Mueller. Muller was aggressive, fast decision-maker, natural leader, the kind of NCO officers loved. German infantry caught 3rd Squad in open ground 300 yards from tree line. Standard German tactic. Let Americans start retreating. Wait until they're exposed. Then open fire. Muller ordered his squad to run for the trees. Sprint, full speed. Get to cover before Germans could establish firing positions. 9 men died before reaching the tree line. Not because they weren't fast enough. Because running targets are still targets. Muller survived. Got to cover with 2 other men. Spent 4 hours hiding in a drainage ditch before American patrol found them. Muller reported to his company commander that night. Described the retreat. Described losing 9 men in 40 seconds. Company commander asked what Muller would do differently. Muller said he'd run faster. Cole heard that story in the command post. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. The pattern was clear. American doctrine assumed speed equaled survival during retreats. The past 24 hours proved otherwise. 400 men lost. Most killed while retreating. Most killed while following orders to move fast. But staying in position meant encirclement, meant capture or annihilation. The Germans had numbers, armor, momentum. American positions couldn't hold. Retreat was necessary. The question was how to retreat without dying. Raymond Cole grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Worked steel mills before the war. Blast furnaces, molten iron, 12-hour shifts where one mistake killed you and 2 others. The mills taught him to think before moving, calculate before acting. Speed without planning meant accidents. Accidents meant death. He enlisted January 1941, age 29. Older than most recruits, infantry training at Camp Croft, South Carolina. The instructors noticed him immediately, not because he excelled, because he questioned everything. Why advance in extended line instead of tactical columns? Why suppress with automatic weapons instead of conserving ammunition for aimed shots? Why execute flanking maneuvers when frontal assault with artillery prep would work? The instructors labeled him difficult, methodical to a fault, overly cautious, lacks combat aggression. Fellow trainees called him Slow Cole by week 3. The name stuck. Didn't bother him. He knew something they didn't. Speed kills in steel mills. Speed kills in combat. Methodical keeps you alive. He graduated infantry school without distinction. No marksman badges, no leadership awards, just competent enough to avoid recycling. The Army assigned him to the 99th Infantry Division as a rifleman. Cole deployed to Europe June 1944. 3 weeks after D-Day, the 99th went to Belgium. Defensive positions along German border, Ardennes Forest, Monschau sector, Ardennes patrol operations, 4 months of combat. September to December 1944. Cole's first action came September 23rd near Hoofen. His squad occupied defensive positions on a ridgeline. German patrol probed their lines at dawn. Standard procedures said suppress with automatic fire, call for artillery, maintain position. Cole suggested different approach. Wait until Germans committed to advancing. Let them close to 150 yards, then open fire with aimed shots. Don't waste ammunition on suppression. Kill the threat efficiently. His squad leader, Sergeant Eddie Morrison, agreed to try it. The German patrol advanced. Cole waited. Let them close. 150 yards. He fired. 3 rounds. 3 Germans dropped. The patrol retreated immediately. Morrison promoted Cole to fire team leader next day. Said Cole thought like a hunter instead of a soldier. Made the enemy come to him instead of chasing them. By November, Cole made squad leader. 8 men under his command. Private Danny Reeves, age 19, Boston. Corporal Mike Chen, age 22, San Francisco. Private Joe Martinez, age 23, Los Angeles. Private Tom Walsh, age 20, Nebraska. Private Eddie Morrison, age 21, Detroit. Private Ray Jackson, age 24, Chicago. Private Bill Santos, age 25, New York. 4 months under Cole's leadership. 0 killed in action. 8 men who should have died in Ardennes Forest or Monschau or Ardennes patrols. 8 men alive because their squad leader refused to move fast without thinking first. Company Commander Captain James Morrison noticed. Different Morrison. No relation to Private Morrison. Captain Morrison tolerated Cole because the results worked. 0 casualties in 4 months was exceptional. Other squad leaders lost men regularly. Combat attrition, normal casualties, expected losses. Cole's squad had 0 losses, not because they avoided combat, because every action was calculated, every position was prepared, every movement had covering, fire and fallback options. But Captain Morrison didn't trust Cole's judgment during mobile operations. Retreats required speed. Cole didn't do speed. Morrison's assessment in Cole's file. Effective in static defense, liability during mobile operations, too methodical for fluid tactical situations. The assessment proved prophetic on December 17th at 06:47 hours. German artillery opened up on Baker Company's positions. 88mm shells, 105mm howitzers, Nebelwerfer rockets, 3,000 rounds in 20 minutes. The defensive line disintegrated. Foxholes collapsed. Communication trenches caved in. Men died in positions they'd held for 18 hours. At 07:12 hours, Captain Morrison gave the order over company radio net. All units fall back to Rally Point Baker, 6 miles south. Move fast. Leave nothing for the enemy. 42 men started retreating. Baker Company's effective strength after 18 hours of German artillery and infantry assault. 42 survivors from a company that deployed with 128 men. December 15th. Morrison organized the retreat by squad. First squad under Sergeant Frank Mueller moved first. 12 men. They followed doctrine, moved in dispersed groups, bounded between trees, covered each other's movement. German machine guns opened fire at 07:20 hours. 2 MG-42s positioned 300 yards north. Perfect fields of fire across the withdrawal route. Muller's squad was crossing a small clearing, 50 yards wide, 30 seconds to cross at running speed. The machine guns caught them halfway across. 11 men down in 15 seconds. Muller survived. Took shrapnel in his back, crawled to tree line, watched his squad die because they followed orders to move fast. Cole watched from his position 200 yards east, counted the muzzle flashes, 2 machine guns, interlocking fire, disciplined German gunners. They'd let the Americans start retreating before opening fire. Standard tactic. Wait for targets in the open, then kill them efficiently. Cole's squad, 8 men, looked at him. They'd seen what happened to Muller's squad, knew the Germans were 300 yards away and closing. New doctrine said move fast or die. Private Reeves spoke first, his voice tight. Sarge, we gotta move, now. Corporal Chen agreed. They're 300 yards out and closing. Cole said 4 words. Find covering positions, now. The squad stared at him. Germans 300 yards away, machine guns killing anyone who moved. Standard response. Run faster than Muller's squad. Sprint. Get to safety before the Germans adjusted fire. Cole said something different. We retreat 100 yards every 6 minutes. Not before, not after. Private Walsh thought Cole had lost his mind. Sarge, they'll kill us if we stay here. Cole's response became legend in the 99th Division. They'll kill us if we run. They'll miss us if we shoot first. At 07:24 hours, Raymond Cole stopped retreating entirely. Instead, he turned his 8-man squad into something American doctrine didn't have a name for: a mobile defensive line, a fighting withdrawal. 8 rifles refusing to run. What happened in the next 7 hours would change how the United States Army conducted retreats, would save over 1,000 lives in the final 6 months of the European War, would prove that sometimes the slowest man in the company is the only one smart enough to survive. But first, Cole had to survive the next 100 yards. Cole's squad thought he'd lost his mind. Germans 300 yards away and closing. Muller's squad dead in a clearing 50 yards north. Standard response: run harder, run faster, get to Rally Point Baker before the machine guns found you. Cole said run gets you killed. Private Reeves, age 19, hands shaking: Sarge, we gotta move. They're coming. Cole: we move 100 yards every 6 minutes. Not before, not after. Corporal Chen: they'll overrun us. Cole: they'll try. We'll make them pay for it. The squad had 8 men, 2 Browning automatic rifles, 6 M1 Garands, standard infantry loadout, nothing special. But Cole arranged them different than doctrine prescribed. 4 men forward, 4 men rear, staggered line, overlapping fields of fire. Forward team: Cole, Chen, Jackson, Santos. Positions behind trees, logs, anything offering cover. Spacing: 15 yards between positions. Wide enough to avoid single burst killing multiple men. Close enough to provide mutual support. Rear team: Reeves, Martinez, Walsh, Morrison. 100 yards behind forward team. Same spacing, same cover discipline, same fields of fire. The tactical principle was simple. Forward team engages enemy. Rear team covers. Forward team displaces backward 100 yards past rear team. Rear team becomes forward team. Repeat. Never both teams moving simultaneously. Never movement without covering fire. Never exposure without security. Cole gave his instructions. Corporal Chen, you and Martinez have the BRs. Sustained bursts, 10 rounds. Make them think there's 20 of us. To his riflemen, aimed fire only. No panic shooting. Make every round count. Private Jackson, age 24 from Chicago, asked the obvious question: how long can we keep this up? Cole checked his map. 6 miles to Rally Point Baker. 43 displacement cycles at 100 yards per cycle. 7 hours if we maintain pace. The math didn't comfort anyone. 7 hours of continuous combat. 43 separate engagements against 3,000 Germans. But Cole knew something the others didn't. Those 3,000 Germans weren't all pursuing 8 Americans. Most were advancing toward other objectives. Maybe one company, 150 men, would pursue stragglers. Maybe less if the cost got too high. The key was making the cost too high. At 07:24 hours, first German squad appeared, through the trees. 12 soldiers in extended line, moving fast, expecting no resistance. Americans were retreating, running, easy targets. Cole waited. Let them close. 250 yards, 200 yards. At 180 yards, he gave the order: fire. 8 rifles opened simultaneously. Precise, aimed, professional. 3 Germans dropped immediately. The rest dove for cover. German return fire came high. Scattered, panicked. They'd expected fleeing Americans, got defensive positions instead. Cole counted to 30. Gave them time to think they'd pinned the Americans down, time to commit to assault. Then he gave the next order: rear team, displace. 100 yards. Mark your fallback positions: Reeves, Martinez, Walsh, Morrison moved backward through the forest. Not running, walking, rifles ready, watching their sectors, maintaining discipline. Forward team maintained fire. Short bursts from Chen's bar, single shots from the Garands, enough to keep Germans pinned, enough to make them think the Americans were defending in place. Germans tried to advance. Chen's bar hammered them back. 20-round burst, controlled, accurate. 2 more Germans hit. At 0730 hours, rear team called ready. Positions prepared. Fields of fire established. Cole. Forward team, displace. Rear team, covering fire. Now Cole's team moved backward. Chen, Jackson, Santos followed. 100 yards through the forest. Not running, walking, maintaining interval. Reeves and Martinez provided covering fire. Bars chattering, keeping German heads down. Germans tried to advance during the displacement, walked into prepared firing positions. Martinez killed one at 120 yards. Reeves wounded another. At 0736 hours, Cole's forward team reached new positions 100 yards behind what was now the rear team. 200 yards total displacement from initial contact. Germans had advanced maybe 50 yards, cost them 7 dead, 4 wounded. American casualties, 0. Cole checked ammunition expenditure. Each man had fired average 15 rounds, plenty remaining. 20-round magazines for the Garands, full capacity. The pace was sustainable. Private Walsh, farm kid from Nebraska, understood crop rotation and resource management. Sarge, this is working. Cole, it works until it doesn't. Stay sharp. At 0742 hours, Germans changed tactics. Instead of frontal pursuit, they split into 2 groups. Flanking maneuver. Textbook German infantry assault. 18 men pushing forward through the center. 18 moving through forest to Cole's left. Standard counter. Retreat faster. Avoid encirclement. Cole did the opposite. He shifted his defensive line 45 degrees. Now forward team covered the flank approach. Rear team covered frontal pursuit. L-shaped ambush position. Germans advancing on the flank walked into Jackson and Santos's fields of fire. Range, 150 yards. Perfect for M1 Garands. Both Americans opened fire simultaneously. Jackson fired 8 rounds in 12 seconds. Santos fired 6. 4 Germans dropped. The others went to ground. Lost momentum, lost initiative. The frontal pursuit group saw their flanking elements stall. Hesitated. Standard German doctrine emphasized coordinated assault. If one element fails, other elements pause and reassess. That pause cost them. Chen's bar raked their position. 3-second burst. Another German hit. At 0748 hours, Cole ordered 3rd displacement. 100 yards farther south, Germans were now 300 yards behind original contact point. They'd gained 0 ground. Cole's squad had retreated 300 yards exactly as planned. German casualties. 11 confirmed dead, 6 wounded. American casualties, 0. The pattern emerged over the next hour, 0754 to 0848 hours. 4 more displacement cycles, each cycle identical in execution. Set positions, engage enemy, maintain fire. Displace 100 yards, reset positions, repeat. Germans kept pursuing but couldn't close the distance. Every time they tried to advance, American covering fire drove them to ground. Every time they went to ground, Americans displaced farther south. The rhythm became mechanical. Corporal Chen counted his ammunition after 6th displacement. 120 rounds expended, 280 remaining, 400 total capacity, 30% expenditure. Sustainable rate for remaining distance. Private Morrison, age 21 from Detroit, asked what everyone wondered. How long can we keep this up? Cole did the math aloud. 6 miles equals 10,560 yards. 100 yards per displacement equals 106 total displacements to reach Rally Point Baker. 6 minutes per displacement equals 10 hours total time, but we're 40 minutes in and 6 displacements complete. Pace is sustainable. The math was cold. Clinical. Ignored the fact that Germans would adapt. Ignored the probability of artillery support. Ignored the likelihood of reinforcements. But the math gave the squad something to focus on besides fear. Displacement number 7. Displacement number 8. Count the cycles. Trust the system. Stay alive. At 08:52 hours, the system almost failed. German mortar team set up 800 yards north, 81mm mortar, high explosive rounds, indirect fire capability. The mortars didn't need line of sight, just coordinates and forward observer. First shell landed 30 yards from Cole's position. Second shell, 20 yards. They were bracketing, walking rounds onto target. Next round would be direct hit. Cole made a decision that violated his own doctrine. Double time displacement, 200 yards. Move now. The squad ran. Full sprint. Discipline abandoned temporarily. Survival prioritized over methodology. Third mortar round landed exactly where they'd been 10 seconds earlier. Shrapnel shredded trees, tore through underbrush, cratered the ground. Would have killed all 8 men. Cole stopped the run at exactly 200 yards. Positions. Now. Germans thought the mortar fire had broken American discipline, thought the Americans were running panicked. They advanced fast, aggressive, expecting fleeing targets. They walked into prepared positions at 120 yards. Cole's entire squad opened fire simultaneously. Devastating volume at close range. 9 Germans down in first volley, M1 Garands firing as fast as triggers could cycle. Bayards hammering sustained bursts. Overwhelming firepower concentrated in 8 seconds. The survivors retreated, dragged wounded, abandoned assault. At 08:58 hours, German pursuit stopped completely. Cole watched through the trees. Germans reorganizing 300 yards north. Officers gesturing. Radio operators calling. Wounded being treated. Cole counted visible casualties. Approximately 25 dead. Another dozen wounded. All inflicted by 8 Americans who refused to run. The cost was changing German behavior. They'd started the pursuit expecting easy targets. Retreating Americans, broken units. Now they were treating Cole's squad like a defensive strongpoint. Calling for support, coordinating assault, taking it seriously. Private Reeves, hands steadier now. Think they'll give up? Cole. They'll adapt. So will we. But Cole knew the truth. Germans had infinite time, infinite reinforcements, infinite resources. His squad had 6 miles to go, finite ammunition, and 7 more hours of daylight. The next displacement would tell him if the Germans learned faster than he could adapt. At 09:05 hours, German officers held conference 300 yards north of Cole's last position. Cole couldn't hear them, couldn't see details through the forest. But captured documents recovered after the war revealed exactly what happened. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber commanded the pursuit force. Captain equivalent, 12 years service, veteran of Poland, France, Russia. Professional soldier. He'd pursued broken American units for 3 days. Knew what retreating infantry looked like. Oberleutnant Klaus Hartmann, second in command, reported casualties. 28 killed, 15 wounded. Against 8 American rifles. Weber's assessment, recorded in his unit log. This is not a retreat. This is a fighting withdrawal executed with discipline. German doctrine recognized 3 types of enemy retreats. Rout. Panicked flight, easy targets, high casualties inflicted. Withdrawal. Organized fallback, moderate resistance, acceptable casualties. Fighting withdrawal. Deliberate retrograde with prepared positions, high cost to pursue. Weber had seen companies fail to execute proper fighting withdrawals. Watched entire battalions collapse into routes under pressure. These 8 Americans were conducting a textbook fighting withdrawal. Something most company commanders couldn't manage. Hartmann asked the obvious question: do we continue pursuit? Weber made tactical decision. Commit full platoon, 48 men. Coordinate advance with mortar support. Fix Americans in position. Flank with superior numbers. Destroy them. Standard German infantry tactics. Should work against 8 isolated Americans. Should. Weber gave orders at 09:12 hours. 3 groups, 16 men each. Center group applies pressure. Left and right groups execute double envelopment. Mortar team provides suppressing fire on suspected positions. Classic hammer and anvil. Overwhelming force. Professional execution. What Weber didn't know: Cole had watched German tactical patterns for 4 months. Ardennes Forest, Monschau, Ardennes patrols. Knew how Germans coordinated infantry and mortars. Knew their flanking preferences. Knew their communication delays between units. Cole predicted German response before they executed it. At 09:18 hours, Germans advanced with 48 men in 3 groups. Center, 16 men, frontal pressure. Left flank, 16 men, hook around American position. Right flank, 16 men, secondary envelopment. Mortar team prepared suppressing fire. Coordinates calculated. Forward observer ready. The envelopment should work. Would work against standard American tactics. Catch them in crossfire. Force surrender or annihilation. Cole saw them forming up through the trees, recognized the pattern, told his squad, "They're trying encirclement. We're going to let them." Private Walsh: "Sarge?" Cole: "Center group closes to 150 yards. We ignore the flanks. Kill the center. Displace before flanks react. Risky. Flanking elements would get close. Maybe within 100 yards. Close enough for grenades. Close enough for assured kills if Americans stayed in position. But if center collapsed, flanks would hesitate." Standard German doctrine emphasized unit cohesion. If main effort fails, supporting elements pause for orders. That pause would be enough. At 09:24 hours, center group advanced to 150 yards. Confident. Flanks moving into position. Hammer ready. Anvil set. Cole gave the order. Front 4 positions. Fire on center group. Sustained fire. Empty your magazines. 32 rounds from 4 M1 Garands. 8 rounds per rifle. Rapid fire. Triggers cycling fast as mechanisms allowed. 20-round burst from Chen's bar. Continuous, controlled. Professional. 60 rounds total in 8 seconds. Wall of fire. Devastating at 150 yards. Center group devastated. 7 dead. 4 wounded. 5 retreating. Entire element combat ineffective in 8 seconds. Flanking groups heard gunfire. Saw center collapse. Did exactly what Cole predicted. Stopped advancing. Went to ground. Waited for orders from officers who were reassessing the entire assault plan. Cole: "Displace. 300 yards. Double time. Move." Squad ran while flanking groups were paralyzed by indecision. German training emphasized coordinated action. When coordination breaks, German infantry defaults to defensive posture until orders restore command structure. That default cost them 300 yards. At 09:27 hours, Cole's squad in new positions, Germans regrouping, dragging wounded, reorganizing command structure, 1 officer down, Weber assuming direct control. Cost to Germans this engagement: 12 dead, 9 wounded. American casualties: 0. Private Martinez, checking his ammunition. "We can't keep doing this. They'll adapt." Cole: "They already are. That's why it's working." The logic seemed backward. Enemy adaptation should make defense harder. But Cole understood something about German tactical doctrine. Germans trained for coordinated assault, trained for combined arms, trained for overwhelming force properly applied. They didn't train for asymmetric pursuit against numerically inferior force that refused to behave like inferior force should behave. Every time Germans adapted, they adapted toward more complex tactics, more coordination, more force commitment. Each adaptation took time, took communication, took reorganization. While Germans reorganized, Americans displaced. From 09:35 to 10:47 hours, pattern repeated 7 more times. Each engagement, Germans tried new tactical approach. 09:35, artillery preparation followed by infantry advance. Americans displaced during artillery, engaged infantry from new positions. Germans lost 11 men. 09:52, smoke screen followed by assault. Americans heard them coming through smoke. Waited until visual contact at 80 yards. Devastating ambush. Germans lost 8 men. 10:08, single flanking maneuver. Germans learned from double envelopment failure. Tried simpler approach. One group pins Americans frontally. One group flanks. Cole split his squad. 4 men engaged frontal group. 4 engaged flank. Both German elements took casualties simultaneously. Lost coordination. Withdrew. 10:26. Two-pronged attack from opposite directions. Sophisticated. Well coordinated. Should have worked. Cole used displacement timing. Let both German groups close. Waited until they committed. Then displaced perpendicular to both axes of advance. Germans converged on empty positions, fired on each other briefly before recognizing mistake. Each German tactical adaptation created new vulnerability. More complex tactics required more coordination. More coordination created more delay. More delay allowed American displacement. By 10:47 hours, Cole's squad 5 miles from starting position. 1 mile remaining to rally Point Baker. German pursuit force reduced from initial 3 companies to approximately 140 effective combatants. 360 men started pursuit at 07:20. 220 casualties in 3 hours. 68 killed, 47 wounded, 15 evacuated with severe wounds, 90 medical. Casualties requiring treatment. Every number documented in German unit records. 12th SS Panzer Division, Daily Casualty Report, December 17, 1944. Preserved in National Archives. Captured after war ended. The numbers told story German officers didn't want to write. One American squad had destroyed company-strength pursuit force through sustained defensive action during retreat. At 10:53 hours, Cole called halt. First extended stop since retreat began. Squad exhausted. 4 hours continuous movement and combat. Adrenaline fading. Physical limits approaching. Private Martinez. Sarge, how much farther? Cole checked map. 1 mile, maybe 90 minutes at current pace. He checked ammunition status. Chen, 140 rounds remaining. Martinez, 160 rounds. Each rifleman, average 45 rounds. Total squad ammunition, approximately 540 rounds. Sustainable for final mile if engagement rate stayed consistent. But Cole noticed something wrong. German pursuit had slowed significantly. Normal pursuit maintains pressure, tries to close distance, exploit enemy exhaustion, standard tactics. Germans were maintaining 400-yard separation, matching Cole's pace, not exceeding it, not trying to close. Private Jackson saw it too. They're not chasing anymore. Cole, no, they're following. Corporal Chen understood implications. We hurt them bad enough, they're scared. Cole didn't celebrate. Scared enemies become unpredictable. Desperate enemies take risks. Cautious enemies call for support. At 10:58 hours, Cole was right. German officers made command decision. Stop direct pursuit. Call artillery strike on suspected American route. Annihilate from distance. Preserve remaining force strength. 105 mm howitzers. Battery of 6 guns positioned 4 miles northeast. Fire mission coordinated. Target coordinates calculated based on American direction and speed. Scheduled fire time, 11:15 hours, 18 shells, 30-second bombardment. Saturation coverage of half-mile grid square. Americans had 17 minutes before shells started falling. Cole didn't know about artillery mission, but he knew Germans had stopped active pursuit. And stopped pursuit meant they'd try something else, something worse. Cole made decision. We move now. No more displacement cycles. Straight movement to Rally Point Baker. Squad looked at him. 4 hours methodical withdrawal. Now sudden change? Private Reeves. Why? Cole. They stopped chasing. That means they're setting up something we can't fight. Artillery, maybe. Or armor. We move fast. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Slow Cole ordering fast movement. But the squad trusted him. 4 hours of survival built trust, nothing else could. At 11:02 hours, squad started moving through forest. Not panic run, tactical movement. 2-man teams, alternating coverage. But pace tripled. Speed Cole spent 4 hours avoiding speed that killed Mueller's squad. But now speed was necessary because staying slow meant dying to artillery. At 11:14 hours, they reached ridgeline 800 yards from Rally Point Baker. Could see American positions below. Counted 37 men dug in, survivors from company retreat. 42 men started withdrawal at 07:20. 37 visible at Rally Point, 5 unaccounted for, plus Cole's 8 incoming. Total, 45 if everyone made it. At 11:15 hours, German artillery opened fire on grid coordinates. Cole's squad vacated 7 minutes earlier. 18 shells in 30 seconds. Forest erupted. Trees shattered. Earth fountained. Shrapnel shredded everything within 200 yards of impact point. If they'd maintained displacement pace, they'd all be dead. Private Reeves, shaking. You knew. Cole. I guessed. We got lucky. They moved down ridge toward American lines. 7 hours, 6 miles, 43 engagements, 8 men still alive. The hard part was over. The questions were just beginning. At 11:28 hours, Cole's squad reached American lines at Rally Point Baker. Captain Morrison saw them coming down the ridge. Counted 8 men, moving in tactical formation, weapons ready, spacing maintained even in friendly territory. Every member of Cole's squad alive. Morrison's first words. How? Cole. Fought backward. Made them pay for every meter. Morrison ordered defensive positions reinforced. Expected German assault within hours. Entire 6th SS Panzer Army pushing through the Ardennes. Rally Point Baker was temporary. Another defensive line that would probably collapse before nightfall. Cole's squad integrated into perimeter defense, dug fighting positions, established fields of fire, set trip flares, standard procedure. But the other survivors watched Cole's men differently now. Watched 8 soldiers who'd survived what 42 started. At 11:45 hours, German probe. Platoon strength. They advanced to 300 yards, took fire from American positions, withdrew immediately. No serious assault attempt. Morrison. They're being cautious. Why? Cole. We hurt them. They're waiting for reinforcements before trying again. Morrison didn't understand. German doctrine emphasized aggressive exploitation of breakthrough. Maintain momentum. Don't give defenders time to consolidate. The Bulge offensive succeeded through speed and violence. But Germans weren't pressing Rally Point Baker. They probed, withdrew, waited. Something had changed their behavior. At 15:20 hours, American patrol captured German reconnaissance team half-mile north. 3 soldiers, forward observers for artillery. Lieutenant William Cooper, intelligence officer, conducted interrogation. German Gefreiter Ernst Müller talked. Young, scared. Wanted to survive. Told Cooper everything. His unit, 2nd Company, 1st Battalion, 12th SS Panzer Division. Mission: pursue retreating Americans. Prevent defensive consolidation. Results: we lost 97 men pursuing 8 American soldiers through 6 miles of forest. Cooper didn't believe it. 97 casualties from 8 men, Müller. 68 dead. 29 wounded. They never ran. They fought every meter. We couldn't catch them. We couldn't flank them. We couldn't stop them. Cooper asked for details. Müller described the pursuit, described displacement tactics, described coordinated covering fire, described how Americans made Germans pay for every advance. Müller's assessment: these were not normal soldiers. These were elite troops. Special training. We thought maybe paratroopers or rangers. Cooper reported to Morrison at 1600 hours. Morrison called for Cole. Prisoner says your squad killed 97 Germans during the retreat. Cole: counted 43 separate engagements, sustained fire each contact. Math works out. Morrison: how many casualties did you take? Cole: 0. Morrison stared at him. 43 engagements, 7 hours. 97 enemy casualties, 0 friendly losses. The numbers didn't make sense unless Cole had done something completely different from standard doctrine. Morrison: how? Cole explained. Displacement cycles, covering fire, predetermined fallback positions, ammunition discipline. Make them pay for pursuit instead of running from it. At 15:47 hours, Battalion Commander Major Richard Hayes arrived Rally Point Baker. He'd been coordinating defensive consolidation across the sector. Heard reports about Cole's squad. Wanted details. Hayes interviewed Cole personally, asked for tactical breakdown. Cole showed him on map. 100-yard displacement cycles, 6-minute timing, overlapping fields of fire, rear team covers forward team movement. Never both teams exposed simultaneously. Hayes understood immediately. This wasn't luck. This was system, teachable, replicable, scalable. Hayes: you conducted fighting withdrawal with 8 men against battalion strength pursuit. Cole: conducted retreat, sir. Just didn't run while doing it. Hayes saw something nobody else had. Most officers saw Cole's action as individual heroism, exceptional performance under pressure. Hayes saw doctrine, a way to save lives during retreats across entire division. He ordered Cole to brief all company commanders next morning. December 18th, 1944. 800 hours. Cole stood in bombed-out farmhouse basement. 12 company commanders from 99th Division. They'd lost 600 men in 2 days, most during retreats. Cole showed them maps, explained displacement cycles, demonstrated timing, showed ammunition expenditure rates, explained psychology of making pursuers pay costs. Some officers dismissed it. Captain Robert Flynn, Charlie Company, works with 8 men, won't scale to company operations. Too complex, too slow. Others saw potential. Captain Thomas Bradley, Able Company, lost 40 men yesterday during retreat. Would try anything to reduce that. Hayes made it simple. You have permission to test Cole's method. Next retreat, try it. Report results. December 19th, 1944. Able Company retreated under German pressure near Würzfeld. 112 men. Captain Bradley implemented Cole's system, divided company into displacement teams, 12 teams. Each team covered while another retreated. 100-yard movements, coordinated fire, methodical withdrawal. Result, 6-mile withdrawal. 0 casualties. Germans stopped pursuing after losing 32 men to organized defensive fire. Bradley reported to Hayes, "It works, not just for squads, for companies." December 20th through 23rd. Technique spread platoon to platoon, not official doctrine. Word of mouth. Sergeants teaching sergeants. Company commanders sharing lessons. Some called it Cole's method. Others called it fighting withdrawal. Formal reports used term controlled retrograde under fire. December 24th, 1944. First Army published Tactical Bulletin 47. Procedures for defensive retrograde operations. Content matched Cole's system exactly. Displacement cycles, covering fire, ammunition discipline, making enemy pay for pursuit. Cole's name didn't appear in the bulletin. Credit went to Field Innovations from 99th Infantry Division. Standard procedure. Enlisted men don't get named in tactical publications. But every NCO in First Army knew. Cole developed it. Cole proved it. Cole saved 97 German lives worth of American soldiers by refusing to run. January through March 1945. Fighting withdrawal became standard American procedure. Infantry School at Fort Benning updated training curriculum March 1945. New section. Controlled retrograde under fire. Based on December 1944 Ardennes operations analysis. German military archives captured May 1945 showed Wehrmacht tactical assessments. December 1944 intelligence report. 12th SS Panzer Division. American infantry units demonstrate improved tactical discipline during retreat operations. Multiple units execute coordinated withdrawal with sustained defensive fire. Pursuit operations result in unacceptable casualty rates. Recommend modified approach to exploitation of breakthrough opportunities. Translation: Americans learned not to run. Germans learned pursuing them cost too much. The doctrine change saved estimated 1,200 American lives, final 6 months of European campaign. Calculated by comparing retreat casualty rates before and after December 1944. Cole survived the war. Battle of the Bulge. Rhineland Campaign. Final push into Germany. Promoted First Sergeant, February 1945. Bronze Star, March 1945. Citation: Meritorious service in ground operations against enemy. Didn't mention 97 Germans. Didn't mention 7-hour withdrawal. Didn't mention changing American doctrine. Cole returned Pittsburgh, September 1945. Age 33. Went back to steel mills, blast furnaces, 12-hour shifts, worked 32 years. Married Martha Henderson, 1947. 3 children, Robert, Susan, James. Rarely talked about war. When asked, he'd say, "Tried to keep my boys alive, that's all." 1977. Military historian Dr. Robert Manning researched Battle of the Bulge tactical innovations, found references to Cole's method in unit records, tracked Cole through veteran registries. Cole was 65, still working part-time at mill. Manning interviewed him 3 days, asked about fighting withdrawal doctrine. Cole: "Wasn't doctrine, was common sense. Running gets you killed. Walking with covering fire keeps you alive. Anybody could have figured that out." Manning: "But they didn't. You did." Cole shrugged. "Guess I was too slow to run." Raymond Cole died June 1994. Age 82. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Obituary: Raymond Cole, steelworker, World War II veteran. Survived by wife Martha, children Robert, Susan, James. No mention of 97 Germans killed during retreat. No mention of tactical innovations. No mention of 1,200 lives saved. Funeral drew 47 people. Family, friends, mill workers. 3 elderly men sat in back row. Nobody recognized them. After service, they introduced themselves. Private Danny Reeves, age 69, Boston. Corporal Mike Chen, age 72, San Francisco. Private Joe Martinez, age 73, Los Angeles. Cole's Squad. December 17th, 1944. They'd stayed in touch 50 years, called each other every December 17th. Anniversary of day, Raymond Cole refused to run. Martinez told Cole's family, "Your father saved our lives, not by being fast, by being smart enough to be slow." Today, United States Army Infantry School at Fort Benning teaches controlled withdrawal under fire as foundational tactics. Combat manuals reference December 1944 Ardennes operations. Training instructors emphasize, speed without discipline creates casualties. Controlled movement with covering fire creates survival. The principal Cole demonstrated 7 hours through 6 miles of Ardennes Forest. Nobody mentions his name. Doctrine just exists. Standard procedure, how it's supposed to be done. That's how innovation happens in war, not through official channels, through sergeants who refuse to run, through 8 men too slow to die. If you found this story powerful, hit that like button. Helps us share these histories. Subscribe and turn on notifications. We bring untold World War II stories every week. Real people, real courage, real history deserving remembrance. Comment below where you're watching from. Ohio or Australia, Germany or Japan. You're part of our community keeping these stories alive. Thank you for watching. Thank you for remembering. These men earned that much.